Select bus services. New York City's version of bus rapid transit. They have high-ish frequencies, high-ish capacity, and high-ish reliability. But they aren't bus rapid transit. They are buses and a form of transit, but not rapid. How can we fix this? Well, let's look at a very successful instance of a select bus service, the M14 SBS. But wait, you may ask, as this video isn't on the M14 SBS, but the M15 SBS. Let me explain, okay? So, when the M14 bus route, one of the slowest bus routes, if not the slowest major bus route in New York City at the time, was converted into an SBS route, bus lanes spanning the majority of 14th Street were added, with a segment of 14th Street near Union Square being a full busway. Speeds increased dramatically, the bus ride quality soared, and there was much more ridership on the bus route. Don't mention fare evaders hitching a ride, boosting the ridership of the corridor even more, which are not included in the MT's ridership counts. This is probably due to unpaid rides being uncounted, as how can they count them? Pay your fare if you can. Boarding times were an issue, at least on the M14D, so that trip was shortened significantly, and it was overall a great boon to public transit's ability to perform in Lower Manhattan. Sad to see no other bus routes use these bus lanes and busways to their advantage, except maybe for the M9. The M15 SBS is one of the first bus routes to be given this special treatment. In fact, it was second only to the BX12 and BX12 SBS, which is the fourth most ridden bus route in the city, with nearly 5.9 million riders annually and the most ridden bus route in the Bronx. The M15, both SBS and local, now have a ridership of 10.4 million riders annually. The BX12 SBS is already overcrowded during rush hours, so imagine how crowded the M15 M15 SBS must be. Even if we divide 10.4 million by 2, we get 5.2 million, which is in the top 10 most ridden bus routes in the city. Needless to say, the M15 needed capacity. It still needs more now, yes, but it really needed some help. So, the M15 was the second bus route to have been converted into a select bus service. The M15 SBS inherited the M15 limited bus stopping patterns. Limited bus routes are like select bus services, but with less frequencies, usually, longer boarding times usually, as there is no outdoor boarding and off-fare bus payment, and just plain mid. Limited buses are just budget SBS routes. They're great, but still have the faults of most bus routes in the city. Most suffer from not having dedicated bus lanes or only having bus lanes for certain periods of the day. The addition of select bus service on the M15 SBS, which inherited the stopping patterns of the M15 Limited, which were somewhat subway style in a way. The worst part of it though is that bus lanes are only active during peak periods, which makes sense, that the frequencies are not great and buses ought to get bunched up. One time I saw 3 buses coming at 5, 6, and another 6 minutes on the southbound M15 SBS. I decided to walk back home. That gets me to why the M15 SBS should be an actual bus rapid transit service. Bus rapid transit is categorized as a mostly grade separated form of transit. Grade separated means only one type of transportation mode on one right of way, aka a path a mode of transit can use. BRT usually has subway-like stations with subway-like service, often less or more frequent service than a subway. If the buses are mixed with different kinds of transportation, then bus lanes/public transit lanes are implemented, usually with transit signal priority, which is when a public transit vehicle approaches a stoplight. The stoplight turns green nearly automatically, allowing the public transit vehicle to pass through uninterrupted. Buses and BRT systems also have all-door boarding. Most cases of BRT have articulated buses, the buses with a bend in them, and some systems have stations with fare gates. Seems suboptimal, but okay. Select bus services have transit signal priority. Doesn't seem like it though. Bus lanes for the majority of the route, and articulated buses. Frequencies though. Most SBS routes have 3 to 10 minute frequencies during rush hours. That's better than most subway lines in New York City. That's all fine and dandy, until you realize trains have a lot more capacity than buses, especially when they're conjoined together. You would need buses every minute or two for each bus stop to compensate for the lack of capacity on buses. But that can't happen. Why? Boarding is the main thing that affects bus speeds for high ridership routes. Of course, traffic plays a huge part, but boarding really affects the M15 SBS. The M15 local doesn't have that much demand, as it's, well, local, while the SBS skips a bunch of stops which attract more riders, as express usually means faster. But due to 5-minute frequencies for one bus that can hold 120 people each, when 10 to 25 people wait for the bus at each stop, you can tell it leads to uncomfortable conditions on the bus. And they may not be able to increase frequencies on the bus route as it's pretty long, 8.6 miles, and the depot it's served by, Mother Clara Hale Bus Depot, already has a ton of buses inside. It would have to steal some buses from other SBS routes from different bus depots so frequencies could be increased, and those other SBS routes need those buses too. They could order extra articulated buses pushing the depot over capacity. Why? Just so SBS buses could always be running on the street, and this would permit overnight M15 SBS service. Buses could run for half a day and then be swapped out for another fleet of buses for another 12 hours, ensuring that there would be enough buses out on the road to serve people and enough capacity during rush hour and lunch rush. I have a feeling deferred maintenance may occur though, due to there not being enough depot space for buses. If this was possible though, capacity would increase a lot. Maybe an extra 3 buses an hour would do some good. The MTA and the NYC the Department of Transportation, actually conducted a study in 2022 on the M15 SBS's slow speeds along 61st Street to 72nd Street, will be linked in the description, because people kept parking on the bus lane. This is due to the bus lanes around there being curbside bus lanes, while the other bus lanes were in the middle of the road, aka offset bus lanes, with the bus stop and the sidewalk protruding onto the road and meeting up with the bus lane. The latter design makes the bus lanes actually work well, unlike curbside bus lanes, which are cheaper and easier to make, but make buses slow down due to getting off and on the bus lane a lot more frequently than usual, due to people parking on the bus lane. An offset bus lane would provide parking spots to the right of the bus and would make a bus lane free of parking unless somebody decides to double park. The changes in the study, which will be in the description, are yet to be in effect or will not be enacted. In order for quicker bus service, akin to BRT even, we need bus lanes free of any parking. This just makes the ride more convenient for people and quicker for the bus so it doesn't get stuck in New York City rush hour gridlock. Higher speeds equals better bus service equals more even spreads of commuters equals a more comfortable ride. Bus stops on the M15 SBS are not so great. On the M15 local, the standard 3-seat bus shelter is fine, as there isn't enough demand for the bus shelter to be larger. For the SBS variant of it, however, this is extremely different. Bus rapid transit stations are supposed to have plenty of shade, some benches, and information screens. Select bus stops anywhere in the city do not have this treatment. I can cut the city some slack, okay? After all, these bus shelters are being built on the street, where there is not that much room. Plus, how cost effectively can you put a bus arrival screen on a bus shelter on the side of the street? Well, maybe, instead of 2 conjoined bus shelters, combine them and add an extra seat. Next, another one of these conjoined bus shelters. Then, replace the bus stop pole, whatever it's called, with one that has a scheduled bus arrival on it, similar to this. Or you can add a display seen on most buses in the MTA's bus fleet. If NYC wants there to be more transit ridership, it needs to look attractive and comfortable to wait for the bus. Sorry for the background noise, there's construction where I live. With the environment the M15 runs in, you can't make it have a separate right-of-way. First Avenue is a 4-lane road for a reason. There's a bunch of demand to use it. So no, you can't just make First Avenue a 5-lane busway. You also can't make grandish stations in the middle of the street. People need space to walk. Also, no fare gates. Then you would have to add platform screen doors so people don't fare evade. Low floor boarding would be neat, but that wouldn't happen in a while or never happen at all. We can only dream. Wow, you watched all the way to the end? Thanks a lot. Please like the video if you really did like it, and subscribe if you want more videos like this. I'm thinking of changing my channel name, maybe something along the lines of Thoughts of a Bus Rider, or something like that. If you have any suggestions, comment that down. Have a great day. Goodbye.